Well, I'm gonna start on my project to make a Oscar Mayer Wienermobile into a Trackmobile. I might be able to pull some cars with it. I was just gonna test this K-Line out and see how it did before I started working on it. The Wienermobile, I want to make sure I don't fit this in there and then it doesn't even run. So I'm gonna do a test here and see how it does. This unit has two pickup rollers, so it's got fairly good electrical pickup for the center rail, but it does have traction tires on this axle, which is actually the only powered axle on the unit. This axle is just free running, free turning, so when it goes through switches it might have a little trouble picking up the outer rail. I did test it one time around the track already. It looks like it's been run. It wasn't brand new, and it did have some hesitation if you don't keep it going fast enough. So I'll see how it does here. It didn't want to take off yet. I haven't done anything to it. Every time it hits a switch, it slows down. So let me clean it up and oil it. I even have the instruction sheet here that came with it from K-Line. It does tell you to lubricate it and a little bit about the maintenance of it. Of course, there's no warranty left now. It's a shame to have to take this apart, but hopefully I can save it, the top part, and be able to use it again later. So let me see if I can get it running better, where it doesn't have to run quite as fast to stay running. I haven't tried to run it yet to see if it'll run better. I haven't cleaned anything, but I decided I have to take it apart to work on it. And the only way to take it apart was to remove a rivet on this arm here, down there, where the arm has a rivet sticking out. It went into this gear here, so I had to grind and drill the end of the rivet to remove it. This body has four tabs that stick down, or 4 screws hold the motor onto the body right in these 4 corners. It's a die cast base, and it's actually screwed where it looks like there's a seam. It's screwed together. 2 screws there hold the body or the frame together. But now that it's separated, the motor itself was held down by pressing up against the body. So this motor will have to be held down because it'll pop right out of the gear. So I'll show you. It has the 2 pickups and it has a diode, so it's a DC motor, and it can run on AC or DC since it has the rectifier diode in there. So it's just one worm gear powering that axle. So I'll try to test it here and clean everything up and get it ready for assembly into the Wienermobile. Now I'm testing the motor. I got the transformer hooked up right to the pickup here on the right, and then to the frame on the left, and you can see it's turning. That's the gear that would have pushed the rod up and down to move the men back up and down like they're operating the handcar. And this would be the rear, and this would be the front, because it only has one direction. So when I install it, I'll have to make sure this is in the back. but it runs well and smooth. One thing I did notice about what was this, the body, you know, I had to push this rod up and down, but pushing it by hand is not easy, and pulling it down even feels harder, because the rubber men have to bend. So I think this rod across here is even plastic, and when you do it, it bends a little. You can see how the rod's bent. When there's quite a bit of force when you're trying to pull the men to operate them, because they're attached. There's no hinge or anything. It's just the rubber has to bend. This guy here actually moves easier. Maybe it's to the age of it. This one seems to be harder to move. So if anybody's having a little trouble with these cars, it might be the men are not as flexible. And I put the screws back up in here. I don't know if I'll reuse them, but now I'll see if I can find out how I can cut a hole in the bottom of the Wienermobile, which is somewhere around here. Here it is. So it's pretty large, but I'll have to cut a hole in the bottom here and see how I can mount it in the bottom of this. All right. Well, I've done cutting on the bottom side of the frame here, and I decided I had to cut a hole for the gear that's still on the chassis, the little gear there. So I cut a hole for it to go in, and then I still needed something to hold the motor. So I decided, well, I'll cut off a flat spot where this drive shaft was and leave material on each side to hold the motor. And then I decided I was going to use screws, something like this, to hold it into the plastic, but these are too big. So I found out that a 256 screw will fit down in there, in the holes here, 256. So that's what I decided to use. And then I drilled and tapped 4 holes on the bottom, just in the plastic. I thought, well, maybe if it didn't hold, I would use a nut on the other side, but it seems like the plastic is pretty thick and strong. So I already tried it, and it does hold it tightly and very sturdy. I just did a test hole here to see make sure I could get a good grip with the screw. But that's all I had to do, was cut these 2 holes and basically only tap 4. So what I'm gonna, I mount that in there and then hold it down with the 4 screws. The only thing I thought, there is a little bit of a profile, but you know, the wheels I left them on, but I figured it wouldn't look too bad. And if you can only go up in the body another, probably enough to take care of it, but right now I think I like it like this. So I'll screw it together and show you how it runs on the track. Here it is on the track. You can see the profile. Doesn't look too bad. The wheels, I guess they're not too far. They have to be above the track, but they're not up too much. And the back's up a little higher than the front, possibly. But I'll show you how it runs. It doesn't like my switches. It will run very smoothly. But run it slow, but as soon as it hits the switch, it's going to stop. Actually, the back wheel will dip down into the little switch, I guess the point, and then this wheel comes off the ground a little. But get it going again here. It doesn't go very fast. That's about as fast as it'll go. I have to get a light like G-Man has, light up the front, maybe put on the headlights like he's talking about. I'll stop it once it gets over here. I was looking at it to see how I could put a coupler on. I did push a car with the front. It's got a little spot there, it sticks out, and they could push a gondola. I pushed it around the track and didn't have a problem. And then I did push another set of cars, and it pushed about 4 or 5 cars without slipping, but I think it's too much for the motor. So it does have enough traction to pull some cars. So I think I'll look into that. I don't know what kind of coupler I can find. Something I could just put a screw up in the bottom and have it stick out the back. But it would be neat to have the light in the front. And this is where the headlights would be. Drill a hole in there. Like, the only problem, you'd have to almost have 2 lights, one up in the top and one in the bottom. I think one other person had used LEDs for headlights. So once it's on here, it's flush, pretty much flush to the bottom. I don't know if you can see a screw, but it's very sturdy. I didn't think it was going to be as sturdy as it is, but I think you'd probably pull the plastic apart before you pull the motor off. But back here is where you maybe could attach a screw and a coupler. I'll have to look and see if I can find some kind of coupler to put back there. But there you have it. I do have it working now, and I'll have to work on a few odds and ends and make some improvements. But this is what I've gotten done so far. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Also wanted to show you, this is the Munsters House. I found a really good deal on it on eBay. I was gonna just buy the model, but I found someone had already put one together and got it for only about $40 more than the model would cost. So I figured I'd probably never get time to put one together anyway. So I bought it. I wanted to go with my other plastic model of the Addams family, which I will eventually have to put together. These are made by Polar Lights, or they've been out there, I guess, a while back, and they've been reissued, so they are still available. There's their car, and that's their Spot, their pet animal. So I hope you enjoyed that.